It turned out that the boy had gotten into a fight because his friends had ridiculed him as a man with two fathers. Hearing that Dongbek's ex-lover could not control himself, he thought he was teaching this children, but unexpectedly, he took the children to a buffet to strengthen their relationship. But not only did the boy not eat, the boy also burst into tears because this 8-year-old boy already knew that the man in front of him was his father. Perhaps he had not had a father since birth, and growing up with a mother who was always bullied, so the boy became a precocious boy. There was no need for adults to speak. Just from the gestures and expressions of this man, the boy was enough to understand everything. Even though he was only 8 years old, every word the boy said made this man's heart ache. The boy said that if he had known about the boy's existence, he would have done the right thing. The boy asked him why you didn't choose to stay with my mother. Because of him, every time the word father was mentioned, the boy's mother would cry. That's why this 8-year-old child hated his father. Even though suffered so much, this man was probably still a good father. He still came to fix his son's clothes. Moreover, he told the boy not to grow up too fast and to live carefree according to age, because the boy's understanding was his failure. Youngsik saw all of these things. He was also a boy without a father, so he understood Dongbek's son's mind very well now. Because of that, Youngsik chose to step back. He didn't like Dongbek's ex-lover, but the boy was different. No matter what, a child always longed for love from father. Therefore, he didn't want to take away their father-son relationship. Instead, he gave them that private time. When he got home, he loved his mother even more, because even though he didn't have a father, his life had never been disadvantaged. His mother took everything upon herself. His mother only dared to wear his old clothes she saved for him. That was like a knife stabbing Youngsik's heart. On this side, Dongbek, after knowing that her son knew the truth, she felt even more that she had made her son grow up too quickly. That night, she made an appointment with her ex-lover to clarify everything. It was true that she had waited for him, but only 2 years after breaking up, he had a new family and children. Her waiting was probably the last stupid thing she did for him, but now that he had come back, it was too late. There would never be a return between them. His wife also knew about this, so she would probably come here soon to cause trouble. If he continues to come here, who knows how bad things will be. On this side, under the provocation of Dongbek's mother, Youngsik, who was trying to act calm and noble, was extremely upset when he saw his lover eating noodles with her ex-husband. But this provocation was completely effective. Youngsik went to find Dongbek's ex-lover and scolded him for being a bastard. Youngsi also told him to leave and not bother Dongbek and her son anymore. After that, Youngsik ordered Dongbek not to hang out with this man anymore. Furthermore, she was not allowed to let this man come to her pub anymore. So Dongbek ran over and took Youngsik's hand and left, leaving her ex-lover standing there alone. People who always act nice are sometimes the dangerous ones. This female bar employee's name is Go Woon. She is indeed not simple. This girl not only always finds ways to extort money from the landlord, but also lies a lot. She also discovered 30 million won in Dongbek's abalone barrel. Speaking of which, it seems that her personal history is also suspicious. Today on the way home, this girl met a stranger feeding a cat. This stranger is the person the police are looking for. There is a high possibility that he is the murderer. But Go Woon does not know anything and is not afraid. She even came to live with this mysterious man. Perhaps her life is very difficult, so just because she could sleep in a warm place for one night, she was late for work the next morning. When Go Won arrived, Dongbek and her mother were on their way to their son's school. Dongbek was a poor girl because her mother abandoned her. She had to grow up in an orphanage. The label of orphan has since become her name. They are also human, but people discriminate against children. Orphans are thus pushed to the edge of life. Next to that is the label of the bar owner's daughter. The girl with the name Go Woon is simply because her mother's bar is called that. Those two fates are similar. Whenever something negative happens, the first people to be suspected are those two children. Simply because one has no parents, the other has a mother who runs a bar. Such social stratification has haunted Dongbek until now. She is afraid that her son will suffer the same fate, so that is the reason she hesitates to go. But once again, her negative thoughts were dispelled by Youngsik. Thanks to his words of encouragement, she had the courage to go cheer for her son's baseball match with her mother and Go Woon. Wherever the three women went, everyone was watching. While everyone had big cameras and camcorders, she only had a small phone. Suddenly a drone flew in from somewhere and filmed the entire match. Her ex-lover was was also there, but he could do nothing but sit still and watch his son being bullied by the opposing team. The reason was because the opposing team had the son of a coach, and Dongbek's son's team was constantly being bullied. With the boy's personality, he did not hesitate to punch the opponent. The situation suddenly became chaotic like never before, and the coach, the father of the child, even took action to discipline Dongbek's son. This made her unable to stay still. Her ex-lover was also very angry, but he was surrounded by fans. His presence here was already redundant. Because of this fame, it would cause unpredictable consequences later. Because there was no need for him to handle it, Young-sik, wearing glasses, walked in with a drone in his hand full of majesty. Young-sik entered the field under the watchful eyes of hundreds of people. He slapped the opposing boy straight away. This was a slap for daring to insult his friend. The coach's father intended to scold and ask Young-sik what right he had to intervene. So he stood in the middle of the crowd and loudly introduced himself as Dongbek's son's father. From then on, the boy felt that Young-sik was like a hero who would always appear at the last minute. Because there was a camera recording the incident and Young-sik was the local police, he successfully handled everything and admiration of Dongbek. Dongbek's ex-lover also had her own way to intimidate the coach, but his help behind the scenes was not impressive in the eyes of the son. For an 8-year-old boy, the drone was probably more interesting. Young-sik's sincerity and understanding really won the boy's heart. At this moment, Go-woon was indeed not ordinary, but she did not expect that the man she was clinging to had such a scary wife. The landlord's lawyer wife made an appointment with her. With the wife's intelligence and authority, Go-woon was truly no match. She had no intention of destroying their family. She just wanted to change her life and become rich in one step. But this husband was nothing more than a useless person, so the lawyer's wife really hoped that Go-woon could take him away. The landlord listened dumbly. It turned out that he was nothing more than scrap metal that needed to be thrown away, because no one would buy him even if he sold him cheap. Even though he never crossed the line, what he did was beyond the tolerance of a wife. With all the intelligence, status, and money, his wife's pride was trampled by him, so there would be no forgiveness for a traitor like him. Dongbek's childhood friend in the past was Go-woon. With Dongbek's honest and tolerant feelings, Go-woon pulled her feet out of the mud of deception, but her former boss kept looking for her, and when he found her, he came to bother her. Go-woon was really pitiful. Her mother opened a bar and then threw her out into the street like a homeless child. Since then, because she had no family, she was despised to the extreme. This man also treated her like trash, thinking that even if she died, no one would care. But he was wrong, because right behind Go-woon was Dongbek. If he continued to provoke Go-woon, Dongbek would chase him away. Unexpectedly, this guy was so unreasonable that he dragged Go-woon out into the middle of the street and beat her. This really touched Dongbek's bottom line. Without waiting for Young-sik to intervene, Dongbek immediately hit this guy hard on the head. While hitting him, she cursed him. The Dongbek of the past was dead. In front of everyone's eyes, there was no longer a girl who still smiled, even when being oppressed. The final fight ended at the police station. For Dongbek's safety, Go-woon told that bastard to put everything on her and not to disturb the peace of this place. Because for someone like her, who had never received love, Dongbek's family was like a sacred place. There they had no reservations or distance towards her. Everyone cared for her and treated her more than their own family. It was this kindness that made a bad woman like her want to start her life over again. But in life, unexpected things often happen. Young-sik, while investigating the murderer, had seen suspicious things about the food of stray cats in the street many times. For some reason, his hand was allergic to pesticides. At this point, he began to suspect the food that he had just witnessed the owner of the refrigerator store feeding the cats last night. This person's behavior was also very suspicious. But this guy kindness made a simple person like Young-sik dismiss his suspicions. But Young-sik could not have expected that this trust would lead to such an unpredictable result. Although he was a very loving person, Young-sik was only a lowly security police officer. Financially, Dongbek's ex-lover had the advantage. Today, while Young-sik was eating dumplings at the bar, Dongbek's ex-lover sent a box of toys for her son along with a credit card full of money. This probably touched Young-sik's pride. But when people love, money just a fleeting thing. To Dongbek, Young-sik's heart is more important. While looking for a vase to put flowers in, Young-sik accidentally found a box filled with blue lighters. This made him a little scared. It turned out that because of curious habit, so Go-woon often stole lighters from customers. But these lighters appeared in 2 recent fires. Thinking back, the owner of the refrigeration store that Young-sik met again this morning showed that he was very interested in Go-woon. That's why he often went to the pub. The truth was probably gradually being revealed. Go-woon suddenly remembered the details in her memory, but instead of telling Young-sik, she kept it a secret, and then that silence caused the secret to be buried forever. Only 11 hours and 45 minutes left. Something no one expected would happen. This girl was truly pitiful. In order to have money for her younger brother to study abroad, then get married and settle down in America, she did not hesitate to do the lowest jobs. Even though she tried not to touch it, she took 30 million won from Dong-baek. But what she got in return was the disdain of her younger brother. Now her younger brother is living a happy life in America. If a lowly older sister appeared, it would be very embarrassing. The girl always tried to be strong. Even though she was despised or became cheap to others, she still tried every day to earn money. But now her only relative is just a bad person who pushed her out of their lives. Dong-baek is not doing well here either. Knowing that the person she trusted took the money and ran away, she feels less sorry for the money, but more heartbroken. The appearance of her ex-lover here made things even worse. His presence here often made Young-sik uncomfortable, but it was even worse for Young-sik's mother. After finding out about the appearance of this man, Young-sik's mother came to painfully scold Dong-baek and then took her son back. Young-sik was in love. He was afraid that Dong-baek would be criticized by his mother, but as a mother, it was difficult to accept that her son loved a single mom. Now that the woman her son loved was still related to X, it was even harder to accept. For a single mom's heart, the son was the most precious thing. So even if Young-sik's mother had to be cruel, she didn't want her son to be hurt like that. Her words made Dong-baek extremely heartbroken. That night, after having no place to stay, Go-woon returned to Dong-baek's pub, but instead of scolding her or even suing her, Dong-baek cared and ignored everything. This made Go-woon feel ashamed of herself and burst into tears. So Go-woon went to deliver the goods instead of Dong-baek. But she didn't know that she was bearing the wrath of a killer for Dong-baek. In the dark night, Go-woon saw Dong-baek delivering the goods. This girl had just taken 30 million won from Dong-baek, so she felt guilty and wanted to help her pub owner. But she didn't expect that it was the last time they saw each other. The next morning, the police received news that Go-woon had left. Dong-baek came to report that she couldn't find Go-woon and the motorbike anymore. The police chief thought that Go-woon had run away because she stole the money, but Young-sik thought differently. He thought that this time, it was probably the killer's doing. If so, then the killer's target last night was not Go-woon, but Dong-baek. At this point, he felt like he couldn't breathe. He felt suffocated because he was worried about the person he loved. Meanwhile, Dong-baek could only cry and think that Young-sik was too tired of loving her. So she told him that if he was tired, then they should break up. This made Young-sik really unable to bear it. He sent her away and returned to investigate the disappearance. But this case would probably be a challenge for the police. Go-woon had made enemies with countless people for money, not to mention that bastard who came looking for her the other day. Even Dong-baek's ex-lover and his model wife could be related clues. And the landlord, whose wife was filing for divorce. Anyone could be the murderer the police were looking for. Young-sik looked like that, but he couldn't stay mad at Dong-baek for long. As promised, he brought her flowers every night. But the police salary is not much, and he spends a lot of money every day to buy flowers. When he got to the door, Dong-baek's mother stopped him and chased him home. When got home, Young-sik remembered that today was his father's death anniversary. It turned out that he had two older brothers. People often say that the youngest brother is always pampered, but when they heard that their younger brother was madly in love with Dong-baek, the two older brothers flew into a rage. They blamed him for giving all the love of his mother and why he didn't repay her and made her sad. But when he was beaten by his two older brothers, his mother stopped them. At least the two older brothers still lived with their father, but Young-sik had never seen his father even once. So instead of scolding them, his mother told them to love Young-sik more. What mother said made Young-sik burst into tears. It must be said that his mother was truly great. Before, she was just a good wife and had a warm and happy family. Yet while she was pregnant with her youngest son, she received news that her husband had tragically died in a fire. She had to endure all the grievances and all the scorn with the title of widow and a single mother. In order to be both a mother and a father, she had to shoulder the burden of raising 3 sons. That made her become the formidable woman she is now. But today, she heard the news that her youngest son, whom she loved the most, was in the emergency room because he was injured while saving people in a big fire at the market. She was extremely worried and rushed to the hospital. It turned out that a few hours ago, Dong-baek was sitting in the waiting room when the fire alarm rang. She was confused and didn't know what was happening. She only knew that the door couldn't be opened. The reason she was here was because while she was shopping at the market, she heard an announcement calling her to go to the second floor to get the receipt. But she didn't know that this was a trap set by a savage murderer. Because the market was full of flammable objects, the fire was getting more and more intense. While she was in a panic, someone ran like crazy into the fire. After evacuating all the people, Young Sik rushed to the second floor. When he saw the familiar basket of vegetables, he panicked even more. Look inside, he saw Dongbek gradually losing consciousness. Young Sik worriedly wanted to break the door to get in, but the door was burned by the fire, injuring him. But that couldn't stop him from saving his lover. He immediately poured water on himself and bet his life on love. He kicked the door with all his might and finally got inside. But when he opened his eyes,